Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to, because the moment Wang Yibo walked out of that quiet luxury jeweler store in Seoul, clutching a small, unmistakable velvet box, the world held its breath. And within minutes, the internet broke. Welcome back to the channel, where today we dive into what might just be the most soul-stirring, hope-igniting, and heart-racing moment in celebrity history. Is China's most enigmatic superstar about to take the leap into marriage? Let's unpack everything, and trust me, you'll want to stay until the end. Started as a quiet moment, easily missed by the world, until it wasn't. Wang Yibo, known for his privacy, his poise, and his almost mythical detachment from gossip, was seen emerging from a discreet high-end jewelry store tucked away on a quiet Seoul street. There were no flashing lights, no staged appearances, no manager by his side. Just Yibo, dressed in black, his face partly hidden, carrying a small box in his hand that said more than any press release ever could. That image, subtle, silent, and unspeakably intimate, sent ripples through the internet. For fans who have followed him for years, who have seen him rise from rookie idol to international phenomenon, it wasn't just a celebrity sighting. It was a turning point. Something in the way he carried that moment, the softness in his stride, the deliberate choice to do this alone, without spectacle, all of it spoke volumes. People weren't just reacting to the ring. They were responding to the weight of what it meant. The possibility that behind the walls he's built to survive the pressure of fame, there's now someone or something he's willing to open the door for. The idea that this wasn't an act of impulse, but one of clarity. It wasn't about status. It wasn't about publicity. It was about intention. And perhaps for the first time, Wang Yibo isn't just protecting something precious. He might be preparing to honor it. Quietly, privately, but with everything he has. For years, Wang Yibo has been the epitome of discipline, focused, precise, and entirely devoted to his craft. Whether he was mastering choreography, diving into character work, or dominating the racetrack, his life seemed defined by ambition and relentless drive. But behind that controlled brilliance, there has always been a quieter story waiting to be told. A story not of success, but of longing. In his most recent interviews and quiet reflections, there has been a shift, something unspoken yet deeply felt. No longer just the rising star, Yibo now carries the weight and wisdom of someone who has seen what fame can give, and what it often takes away. He speaks not of conquest, but of connection. Not of recognition, but of rest. There is a maturity in his voice, an ache behind his eyes that hints at a desire for something far more enduring than applause. When he speaks of love, it is not the romantic ideal often painted by media. It is something rooted in truth, in being seen without performing, in being held without expectation. Home, he once said, is not a place, it's a person. That simple statement reveals the heart of a man no longer satisfied with surface-level affection. He longs for depth, for safety, for loyalty that exists beyond the lens. And in every quiet step he takes now, from the ring shop to his guarded silences, it becomes clear, Wang Yibo is no longer the boy chasing dreams. He is the man who has lived them, endured their cost, and now seeks something more. Not the spotlight, but a steady light. Not a headline, but a hand to hold. And that shift, that readiness, speaks louder than any love song ever could. For years, Wang Yibo has been the epitome of discipline. Focused, precise, and entirely devoted to his craft. Whether he was mastering choreography, diving into character work, or dominating the racetrack, his life seemed defined by ambition and relentless drive. But behind that controlled brilliance, there has always been a quieter story waiting to be told. A story not of success, but of longing. In his most recent interviews and quiet reflections, there has been a shift, something unspoken yet deeply felt. No longer just the rising star, Yibo now carries the weight and wisdom of someone who has seen what fame can give, and what it often takes away. He speaks not of conquest, but of connection. Not of recognition, but of rest. There is a maturity in his voice, an ache behind his eyes that hints at a desire for something far more enduring than applause. When he speaks of love, it is not the romantic ideal often painted by media. It is something rooted in truth, in being seen without performing, in being held without expectation. Home, he once said, is not a place, it's a person. That simple statement reveals the heart of a man no longer satisfied with surface-level affection. He longs for depth, for safety, for loyalty that exists beyond the lens. And in every quiet step he takes now, from the ring shop to his guarded silences, it becomes clear, Wong Eba is no longer the boy chasing dreams. He is the man who has lived them, endured their cost, and now seeks something more. Not the spotlight, but a steady light. Not a headline, but a hand to hold. And that shift, that readiness, speaks louder than any love song ever could. The moment news of Wong Eba's quiet visit to the jeweler's store surfaced, the world reacted not with chaos, but with an overwhelming wave of emotion. Unified, reflective, and deeply personal. From the streets of Paris to the cafes of Seoul, from living rooms in Jakarta to college dorms in New York, fans sat in silence, absorbing what felt less like gossip and more like witnessing a man's quiet transformation. Across continents and languages, something remarkable happened. It wasn't about frenzy or speculation. It was about connection. Fans who had followed his journey for years, who had celebrated his milestones and defended his silence, suddenly found themselves seeing him not just as a star, but as a human being stepping into a new chapter. And that stirred something universal. In Tokyo, tribute art appeared overnight. In Manila, fans held spontaneous meetups just to talk about what the moment meant. In Los Angeles and London, community forums lit up with messages of support, not curiosity. He deserves this, one fan wrote. Whatever this is, he's earned the right to choose it in peace. What made this moment so powerful wasn't the mystery of the ring, but the recognition that Wong Eba had shared something honest without ever needing to say much. His vulnerability, intentional or not, invited the world to pause. Not to intrude, but to feel with him. It's rare for a global fandom, stretched across time zones and cultures, to align in quiet admiration. But that's what happened. They saw a man standing at the edge of something new, and instead of shouting, they stood with him in stillness, in respect, in hope, because sometimes, when someone you've admired chooses love, the best thing you can offer is simply to believe in it with them. Wong Eba has spent most of his life under lights that were never really his. Lights from stages, cameras, and expectations, all shining brightly, all demanding something. For years, he delivered with precision, grace, and silence. But now, something is changing. The narrative no longer feels scripted by industry, fans, or public imagination. It feels like he's picking up the pen himself. What we are witnessing is not the performance of love, but the quiet creation of it on his terms. No dramatic reveals, no declarations choreographed for headlines. Instead, there's a deep and careful intention in the way he moves, speaks, and chooses. For someone who has built a career on discipline, this vulnerability is radical. He is crafting a story where the plot is not dictated by fame but by feeling. And this love story, if it is unfolding as fans believe, is not typical. It is not designed for cameras or applause. It is deeply private, deeply real, shaped by time, loyalty, and perhaps even hardship. There's a sense that this isn't a new chapter but the continuation of something that began long ago, in silence, beneath the surface. A bond that survived not because it was broadcast but because it was protected. More than anything, it's the courage in this quietness that moves people. In a world that thrives on spectacle, Eba's choice to honor intimacy is almost revolutionary. He's not writing a love story that asks for validation. He's writing one that asks only to be true. And maybe that's what makes it timeless. Not the fame that surrounds it, but the stillness within it. In the end, the most powerful love stories aren't the ones that shout the loudest. They're the ones that never had to. Now that the world has heard the unspoken, seen the gesture, felt the shift, the question quietly lingers in the air. What comes next for Wang Yibo? Not in terms of projects, premieres, or appearances, but in something far more intimate. What does the future hold for a man who has, perhaps for the first time, allowed the world a glimpse beyond the persona? The truth is, we may never get answers in the way we expect. Because if Eba has taught us anything through his silence, his presence, and now, his quiet vulnerability, it's that real moments don't need to be explained. They simply need to be lived. And that might be his next step. Living more fully, more honestly, beyond the constant gaze. What lies ahead may not be a grand reveal, but a series of quiet decisions. Whom he trusts, where he finds peace, how he chooses to love and be loved. In many ways, his journey is beginning again, not as the world's icon, but as a man who has earned the right to build something real away from the noise. For fans, this new chapter is not about chasing details. It's about holding space. Space for joy, for privacy, for a happiness that doesn't require public proof. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most meaningful support is the kind that asks nothing in return. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about this moment is that it invites us all to reflect, not just on him, but on ourselves, on the kind of love we seek, on the kind of life we hope to live. And as Wang Yibo quietly steps into what comes next, the world, for once, is not asking him to perform. It is simply standing still and wishing him peace. If this story moved you even just a little, then join our community. Movie Camera subscribe for more heartfelt stories, exclusive updates, and the truth behind the stars we love. Speech Balloon, leave us a comment below. Who do you think the ring is for? And what does true love look like to you? Sparkling Heart, thank you for watching, supporting, and feeling this with us. This is more than news. It's a moment in time, and you were here for it. Bellhop Bell, don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. We're just getting started.